Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Tuesday for everybody joining us live, and welcome to whatever time of day, night, afternoon, evening, morning it is if you're watching us on the recording. I am David Fisher, D-Fish, and you are watching another short, hopefully pretty impactful edition of Small Business Selling Skills. I try to come to you pretty much every weekday, or at least Monday through Thursday at noon Central with a quick 10 to 14 minutes of knowledge, a really quick nugget. So today we're going to be looking at mini closes. And this, I think, is a really important topic because, well, first of all, a lot of times small business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, solo professionals like consultants or accountants or attorneys, people who have to both run their own business and sell themselves, they usually don't come with a lot of sales experience into their role. And so one of the big challenges is that a lot of times people think that selling has to be this big, complicated process. And at the end, you're going to ask a closing question. You're going to ask them for the business. They're probably going to say no, and that's really nerve-wracking. And what happens if they do say no? Hopefully they say yes. It's just very, very scary. So I want to talk today about how to, instead of closing business, simply ask for the next step. And it's a philosophy that I talk a lot about in hyper-connected selling. And also we covered a lot in our coaching group, the Selling Launchpad. By the way, if you are a small business owner and want to get better at selling, you should definitely check out the Selling Launchpad. It's our coaching group for small business owners, solo professionals, freelancers, etc., where we balance business development and the skills necessary for networking, marketing, and sales with the fact that you also have to run your own business as well. So definitely check that out. And as always, where are you coming at me from today? Where are you coming at me from today? I don't know if that made a lot of sense. Where are you and where am I coming at you to? I mean, that made no sense either. Where are you? Where I always like to hear where the audience is. So if you're joining me live today, go ahead and throw down in the comments what city, state, zip code, part of the country, part of the world that you're in as you listen in here today. Would love to hear that. And anyways, let's go and talk about these next steps. As I said, they're kind of mini closes. And what the overarching principle here is that as you work with a prospect, as you go through whatever sales process you're using, whatever sales funnel or sales pipeline you've developed for your business. And by the way, if you don't have that, you should definitely check out the Selling Launchpad. But the goal is to, at each phase, at each step of the process, have a way to ask for the next step, to ask the prospect to go along with you to that next step. And as I said, these are kind of mini closes where you're kind of just asking for a little bit of commitment from the prospect. That little bit of commitment might be for another meeting. It might be to agree to an initial meeting if you're still kind of early in the pipeline. It might be them agreeing to give you some information about what they're working on. When you think about what a discovery section in your sales process is, when you're asking people, trying to uncover the needs and challenges that they have, you're asking for information. So to be polite and to actually have some credibility, have some trust, asking them, hey, is it okay if I ask you these questions? It could be asking, hey, can I give you some information on the market and on the competitors? It could then, of course, as you're going through this process, move to that final question of, would you like to do business together? Would you, hey, from where I'm sitting, it makes sense that if you take these actions, if we work together, you're going to be able to have XYZ outcome. Would you like to work together? So what happens is that traditional close, that traditional, I gotta ask for the business, it's still there, but it's just part of the whole process where you've asked for something from your prospects and clients as you move through the process. And why this is so important is there's two reasons. One is most of the people that buy from you aren't used to buying. That's not something that, meaning that you're selling your services and your products frequently. That doesn't mean that the people who buy from you are buying frequently. An example I would use is if you're a real estate agent, you work with people all the time to buy and sell real estate. Somebody who's trying to find a new home, they might do that once every 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. It's not something they normally do. So you have to be able to help direct them through the process. And what questions do, what these mini closes do, is they allow you to direct people without being controlling, because nobody likes being controlled, but helping pull them along can be really effective. Okay, so that's the first thing these mini closes do. The second is it actually creates some momentum. It actually creates some movement. Because prospects have so much of the information at their fingertips that they need for the buying process, you don't have the control that a sales professional did, or anybody in a sales situation did 20 years ago, where you might have controlled all the information. Now they have all the information, so they can take their journey, their buyer's journey, at their own pace. But what asking these many questions does is that it kind of draws them through. It says, hey, let's keep moving along. Let's not get stuck. Let's not let inertia be a problem. Let's actually pull you through. And so that's why you want to make sure you have all of these small questions, these asks, to move to the next step throughout your sales engagement, throughout the conversation, all the way from when you first meet somebody and ask for an initial call or initial meeting, through the sales conversation itself, and of course to the closing and asking for the business, or at least the traditional closing and asking for the business section, and then of course even working with that customer beyond the initial sales conversation. What this also does, and again, why I think this is so important, is that it takes a lot of the pressure off of just having that one traditional "I'm going to ask for the business at the end" section, because you're always engaging with them through it, and instead you're bringing them through this logical progression. So what you can do, kind of the homework for today, is think about how a prospect goes through your sales conversation, and think about the different steps that are required. And think about, whenever you're at a certain step with somebody, ask yourself two things. Where do I want them to go? What is the next thing I want them to do? And two, what is the question that I can ask to move them there? Okay. So even if it's at the very beginning, where maybe you grow a lot of your business through your network, and you're networking with people, you're meeting people, and you realize that the first step beyond that initial meeting them at a networking event, back when we could go to networking events, and we'll be able to in the future, you might think, well, hey, the first thing I want to do is have an introductory call where I get to know them a little better. Even if it's just a 15 or 20 minutes or a cup of coffee. So that where you're at is, I've just met them. Where you want to be is a conversation. Okay, so that's the next step you're asking for. What's the question? In this case, it could be as simple as, hey, would love to sit down, grab a quick conversation, find out more about what you're working on, tell you more about what I do. Maybe there's a way that we can work together. Like something as simple as that. And then, after that initial conversation, you might go, hey, if it turns out that they are a qualified lead, the next thing I would love is a chance to actually give them a full sales presentation where I talk about the value that I do. Or maybe the next step is I'm going to have to actually do some discovery and find out more about what they're working on. Great. Whatever that might be, that. And so what's the question that's going to get you to it? And simply go through your conversation with a prospect. And that, by the way, it might be just one conversation, or if it's a multi-step process, we have a number of meetings, you have some proposals, it might be a little more complicated or complex. That's fine. Just ask at each stage, what am I trying to accomplish in any conversation? Where am I trying to get them to? And do I have a question that moves them in that direction? Because I found that a lot of times what happens is that we, maybe we have this section where we're in a sales conversation. We're telling them all about the great things we do. And then there's nowhere obvious that we're trying to go. The customer, we're just hoping the customer or the prospective customer just goes, hey, you're really good at this. Can I hire you? And that'd be great. And sometimes it works. And what happens is sometimes that works. And so you're like, oh, that's fine. But the reality is there's so much business that you're leaving on the table, so to speak. And so that's what this process allows us to do. It allows us to avoid that challenge. So try that. Do two things. Do the kind of self-audit. Take a look at kind of how your sales conversations go. What are the different steps and what are the questions are. And then when you do that, the next time you're in a conversation with a prospective client, try it out. Use that question. Even if you have to, at the beginning, before you jump on the Zoom call, go right out in front of you. I need to ask them this question at the end. Have it there, read it. You'll be good to go. So that is our small business selling skill for the day. Thank you so much for joining me. As I mentioned up top, we do have the Selling Launchpad, which is specifically for small business owners, solopreneurs, solo consultants, freelancers, people who want to develop their sales skills so they can build their business. Check that out. And as always, if there's any other questions that you have, please reach out to me. Just shoot me a quick message here on LinkedIn. I'm usually on every day for at least a little bit. Happy to answer any questions that you have. And I will be back right here tomorrow. For those of you who are live, that's noon on Wednesday. And I think I'm taking Thursday off, but then we'll be back next week, Monday through Thursday, every day. So excited for that. And that's all I got. Have a wonderful day. Bye.